Hi everyone, it's me Zan, and today I'm gonna be bringing a new video to you. So lately I've been asked a lot by my friends, and also I got some comments on the YouTube videos, and that's what this video is about. So I'm gonna try to address those two questions, and the questions are: one, how is it to drive Tesla on a daily basis? And also, was it an easy transition coming from a gas car to an electric car, specifically Tesla, right? So let me tell you off the bat, transition to an electric vehicle, scratch that. Transitioning to a Tesla is easier than you may imagine it to be. It's easier than you think. One of the main reasons why I decided to buy Tesla, not only I love their software team, I like their autopilot and full self-driving. In my opinion, Tesla is a software company that has learned how to make electric cars. And because laws of physics don't apply to them, meaning like they're not bound by the traditional workings of the automakers, they have reset their own rules. They started from scratch, so they had the chance to redo the battery, the motors, and everything. So all the technology is basically starting from ground up. So I really like Tesla for that reason. Strong software team, they don't follow the laws of physics, if you will, in the car manufacturing world. So they have really a clean slate to do whatever they want to do. One of the biggest reasons why I decided to buy a Tesla was their massive infrastructure for charging superchargers. So their superchargers are pretty much everywhere in the country, even globally, but especially in the US, right? And I live in the West Coast, I live in Southern California. Their infrastructure is massive in California. I recently had a chance to drive to San Francisco from Los Angeles, Orange County area, and every 20 30 miles there was a supercharger. Most of the charging stations were open when I was traveling, so that was really good. I had so many different options, pick and choose and charge my car, so I could really, didn't really have to plan my trip that much. I just charged my car to the full battery 100%, and then from there just simply drove. Didn't even bother to look at where I need to charge. Whenever we got tired, typically it's like 3 hours we drive. I have little kids, so 3 hours with kids is a long time to sit in one place. So we like to take breaks anyways. For me, it was perfect. In any case, charging network, going back to the charging network, recently in the news you've seen Ford and GM both have signed up deals with Elon Musk, with Tesla, to use their charging network. I mean, that topic is for another video, but you know what I mean, right? The infrastructure and the charging network was so massive that made me decide to go for Tesla and not just electric vehicle, right? So Tesla was the specific electric vehicle I was willing to buy. And then on top of that, when I ordered this car, I ordered both the wall charger and also the mobile chargers because I wanted to make it very convenient for me to charge. Having a wall charger now in my house is kind of like having your own gas station inside the house. Is just very convenient. Whenever you want, you can plug in the car. It's always charged when you have to take off somewhere. It makes it easy that you don't have to worry about charging the car night before. You just drive to your destination, you charge at home, and it makes it super, super easy for me. It is a super intelligent car. It has a autopilot based feature. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons of purchasing a Tesla for me. Once again, the software team, when I talk about software team, is basically talking about their autopilot and the full self-driving. And if you don't know the difference between the two, autopilot is a feature that comes with all Teslas, and that's the one I have and I use all the time. And full self-driving is an additional cost. Price fluctuates. Used to be like $7,000 a couple of years ago. Now it's like $15,000. Maybe it will go down eventually. I think that's where Tesla is heading towards. Full self-driving. Tesla's autopilot is amazingly smart. It makes it really, really smart decisions. Like the other day, I was driving on autopilot and I was on the on ramp to switch to another freeway. And I do autopilot in that area all the time. I think I was doing a little bit faster than I expected, like 70. I was so impressed that autopilot actually slowed down to 65 because it was a steep turn, and it did it perfectly, flawlessly. There are some other areas too, especially like when I was driving on the mountains. Some areas where I felt a little bit uncomfortable driving myself, you can just engage the autopilot. Like on the mountains, and autopilot does like a phenomenal job driving itself. In terms of transitioning to an electric car, I mean, these are like driving assist features that anybody would really appreciate and makes it really easy to transition. And another thing that I've noticed is that there's hardly any brake dust that I notice in the front wheels or on the back wheels, which is very different from having any other cars that I've had. And the reason being is I hardly use the brake. Because it's an electric car, I use the regen braking, and you may have heard about like a one pedal driving, which is absolutely true. It will take you maybe like 30 minutes to an hour to get used to it. And I'm being real, right? If it takes longer, maybe like at the most 1 week for you to get used to this one pedal driving concept. I mean, you're never gonna get it perfect because I live in an area that has a lot of hills, so you're always going up and down, and sometimes it's hard to judge the distance. So I do use brakes too, here and there, but for the most part, I don't use the brakes. The amount of space in this car is amazing because this car doesn't have a spare tire, so you have the extra storage in the trunk, and because this car doesn't have an engine, so you got the front storage. So when traveling, I had a lot of space, like both in the front and in the trunk. And then I had some, like we took everything you can imagine that you can take when you travel with kids. There's a lot of stuff that you're gonna have to take with you. So for the family, this car is really good. And also just going to the grocery stores like Costco and any other grocery stores, those trips are very easy as well because the storage is so much in this car. Another aspect of this car I like the most is when you drive the gas engine cars, especially if you're driving at a low speed, there's a lot of gear shifting, the car downshifts, upshifts. The experience is like not as smooth, like because Tesla doesn't have gears per se. It does have gears, but it's like not in the traditional sense. So as a result, the driving experience, the car drives really, really smooth. Car is really quiet. It's really smooth to drive. The pleasant driving experience, the autopilot, the storage space, the ability to charge at your home. And another fact is that you're not going to have any services, no oil changes needed. Even though you will need some services, like you still need to change the air filters, and then you also need to do tire rotations, but still there's no 20,000 mile oil service, spark plugs. But in a Tesla and an electric car, you don't have to worry about those. For that reason, I think the transition part has been very easy. All right, let's focus on the driving dynamic. I mean, one of the first things I like the most is the power, like the torque that it comes with. It's a big SUV compared to Model 3 and some of the other sedans that I've owned in the past. It is a bigger car. It has a lot of space. I mean, it's a heavy car, but at the same time, it doesn't feel heavy, right? It has the newer suspension system. So suspension is probably the best I've had in any of my cars. It's a very sporty suspension, and at the same time it is very soft. I don't know how to define it otherwise. It's like the best mix. It's sporty and stiff and comfortable at the same time. And I have the 19-inch wheels package, so they have a big say, like they make it comfortable, right? Comfort is very near and dear to me. I want to drive long distance. I have another car that has 19-inch wheels, and it has stiff suspension, and driving 2 hours in the car is taxing on your body. So I wanted to have like a comfortable ride for long distance driving because I'm going to be traveling a lot in this car. So suspension system is perfect. The torque in this car is perfect, given the fact that this is such a big car with a big battery pack. This car, reached 60 miles, 0 to 60 in like 4 seconds, less than 5 seconds. Speed is there. You're talking about like fast sedans. This car can compete with those, even though this is a SUV, right? And it's heavier. So it feels like it doesn't drive like an SUV. Like if you drive other SUVs, sometimes they're heavy body, they're body rolls. There's nothing like that. It's planted, fast, nimble, agile, and fast. The driving experience, I absolutely enjoy driving this car. It's a pleasure, it's a treat to drive this car. I treat myself by just driving around. And on top of that, it has all the technologies. Because of the autopilot, and seats are very comfortable too in this car, right? The long distance driving, I had very little fatigue when I reached my destinations. It's funny, like a lot of times when I reach the destination, I'm typically tired. Especially, I'm talking about like 6 to 8 hours of driving or 10 hours of driving in a day. But this is the first time I reached San Francisco from Los Angeles. I had very little fatigue because basically you're sitting on the driver's seat like an operator, and you're just monitoring the car do its thing. So you're not really driving the car, you're just monitoring it, which is very different than driving yourself, because then when you're driving yourself, you're paying attention, and then that takes a lot of juice out of your mind. And to be honest, like a lot of tiredness and exhaustion comes from that. Even though this is a pretty big car, heavy car with a battery and all, the throttle response is instant. You know, when you're taking over, merging onto a freeway, or you want to take over a car, you just punch it and this car takes off. You feel the torque going through your body and mind. You really have to experience it. If you get a chance, either rent a Tesla, or if your friend or family member owns a Tesla, if you haven't tried it, feel the experience. It's really fast and nimble. I absolutely love it. Driving experience is one of the best experiences I've ever had. And to be honest, if things go well, I don't think I'm gonna switch to another car. Once you get used to all the comforts in this car, the speed and just the electronics and everything is so automated in this car, it's gonna be hard to transition to another car. Because Tesla is ahead of the curve in terms of the electric cars, it's going to take years for anybody else to kind of catch up to them. A lot of these other car manufacturers, they are developing cars first. I mean, they're investing a lot in their software teams too, but you know, just looking at the Tesla's center screen and options and the UI, you know, like how you click through, is so pleasant and easy to follow compared to some of the other UIs that I've seen in other electric cars, and just in general, like in gas cars too. Tesla has really nailed it. That's where their specialty is. I'm a technologist, so I absolutely like Tesla for that reason, because they just seem to be doing the right thing. In any case, I kind of covered both topics. Hope you learned a thing or two from this video. Leave me a comment if you have another question, anything you want to follow up or you want me to talk about. And I would appreciate if you like the video and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you.